If we despise the Cove and what is happening in the Cove with the dolphin slaughtering, then why is it still here? There's been a documentary about it, there's been research about it, it's been on Oprah, it's all over YouTube, lots of videos about it, it's probably been on television and in the news, but why is it still happening? It's still happening, it's still there. This animal slaughtering is still there because apparently it's part of capitalism, and because part of capitalism is apparently that everybody just gets to do whatever the hell they want, and apparently this is not yet bad enough for the laws in Japan or for our laws as well, because they make it seem as if this is happening in Japan, so Japan is responsible for stopping this atrocity that is unacceptable. So Japan is apparently responsible for stopping it, and apparently because Japan isn't stopping it, they're the bad guys. As if we have no power, we can't do anything, we can't stop that, so we just have to stand here and watch, when it would be in fact easy to stop and we wouldn't have to really press force on it. I mean, the government would just be able to do it. Our government would be able to talk to the government of Japan, and then they would see, and then it would be stopped. I mean, as well as there's just so many atrocities being done onto animals still within factories, where animals are being brutally slaughtered without sedation, and we've all seen the images on television with how goose liver is made and how chickens are being kept. And still in supermarkets, you still have a choice. You still have a choice between buying bio eggs, which is eggs from chickens who apparently had the freedom to run around and who were treated a little bit okay. And then you still have a choice between buying either that or the really cheap ones, wherein the chickens were, completely forced into everything and were suffering great amounts of pain, and that were treated just atrociously. So this is all still here, actually, even though it's been on the news and even though people have been talking about it and have been talking about how terrible this all is and everything. And when we see the images, it's all over YouTube as well, when you see the images of these animals getting treated as such, we feel bad inside, or we feel pity, and we want it to stop, and we want to make it stop, and we think inside ourselves, like, how is this possible, and how is this able to exist, and blah blah blah. So so the question is that how come people talk about it so much, about how atrocious it is as well on the news as well, and yet it's still here? How come people actually believe that they are too powerless apparently to stop it? Is it, or could it be that we don't really care? Could it be that we don't actually give a shit about what happens to these animals? Because seriously, if we really cared, then YouTube would be full of videos such as this one. Then television would be full of documentaries and, investigation and research into why this stuff can happen, why this is able to exist. If we really cared, then we wouldn't stop talking about it until it is stopped, until we have stopped it. But we still seem to manage to find other things to talk about, like the weather and our clothes and the newest technological stuff that we buy, and we still manage to enjoy ourselves and to go out and go shopping and talk about the latest Hollywood movie and indulge in these mindless, idiotic, consumerist things while atrocities like this is going on, still, as it always has. So, I mean, if we really cared, then we would make sure that this wouldn't exist anymore. Then we would make videos and then we would write about it and we would talk about it and we go to our governments and we write letters and we do everything it takes to just make sure that this stops. And until this has stopped, we will not rest. But that's not the case. Only when we see the images on television, then we go, oh no, it's so bad, it has to stop. But we don't mean that. It's a lie. We don't mean it, because if we really meant it, then we would fucking move our asses. But the reality is that we switch the channel, another image pops up of some romantic movie, and then we're in another mode. Then we're in the romantic mode. Then all of a sudden the world is good again. And all of a sudden we feel good again about the world. As if the dolphin slaughter and all the abuse that happens to animals in this reality is all of a sudden gone. It's just, that's how the human being actually works. It's a liar. It just says things, but it's not real, and it doesn't mean the things that it says. So we should really start to investigate ourselves and start to really look at the words that we're speaking, because they have absolutely no value whatsoever. We should stop with just opening our mouths and saying anything, because it's not real, and we should really get ourselves into the actual reality and start speaking up about the things that is really important, which is stopping animal abuse, so that we don't have to see stuff like this anymore. We have to start, standing up and blogging about it and talking about it and getting it out in the open and making it a point of discussion within and as the realization that this is simply unacceptable, that this exists still. And we all know about it, but still it exists. I mean, that says something about us as human beings, because we're the ones actually doing this. We're the ones creating a society like this, and apparently we're the ones who can't stop it. That doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, this is happening because of all of us, not just because of a few, but this is happening because of the capitalist system, because of how we designed the world, because of how we designed ourselves, because of how we allowed ourselves to be educated, and how we live our lives within an as complete ignorance, wherein we would search for personal happiness above the actual well-being of all creatures on the earth. And the result is atrocities like the Cove. The result is atrocities like ritual animal slaughtering within the Islamic culture, for example, wherein the animals' throats get cut while they're still alive, and they suffer for a long period of time, simply because of some ritual that is based on what some prophet did so many ages ago. And now apparently it is some kind of divine ritual. While, do you really see something divine in that? What is divine about ritually slaughtering an animal? What is divine about making an animal suffocate in its own blood and making it suffer? What does that say about us? What does it say about religion? And what does it say about God? I mean, do we really want to worship a God like that? Do we want to worship a God that wants us to kill and destroy and abuse? Is that a God that we really want to, or a prophet that we really want to worship? We should really start asking ourselves these questions, because there's some serious shit going on in reality, and we have to really start investigating that stuff. Investigate equal money as a solution to end all abuse such as this, and to stand up in this world and create something that is actually worth living in at www.equalmoney.org. Thank you.